down the road. It's more than just a sermon, it's a fellowship call. We're ready for the blessing, standing 10 feet tall. Yeah, we got that tailgate theology with Pastor Tony, fueling up our faith. Ain't nobody lonely, we turn the pain into celebration. Yeah, it's the key. We live by the wisdom of the 3 T's with Pastor Tony. Right here with me, through everything I needed. We lift it higher every time we eat it. Been through the storm, but the sun is shining now. We learn to trust the promise, we know exactly how. When the weight got heavy, felt it on my soul. He showed up before I even had to call. That's the kind of love that saves you when you're about to break down, but you stand your ground. Yeah, we got that tailgate theology with Pastor Tony, fueling up our faith. Ain't nobody lonely, we turn the pain into celebration. Yeah, that's the key. We live by the wisdom of the 3 T's with Pastor Tony. Right here with me, through everything I needed. We lift it higher every time we eat. No substitute for real ones, the ones who stay with it. Every setback becomes ammunition, we won't quit. We built this foundation from above. We made it when the world tries to knock us down. We elevated. Right here with me, yeah. Tailgate theology, that's the way to be. 3 T's with Pastor Tony. We made the comeback, we both gonna stay right here with me. Hey.
Good evening, everybody. How are we doing out there in this blessed place we call America, and wherever you're from in another place? Who knows where you're from tonight? So, man, we are excited to be with you. We're so excited that you tuned in tonight, and we just pray that no matter what you're going through in life, that something is said today that just blesses you, and that you can apply it to your life, and ultimately to grow and spiritually and get closer to God. And so, as usual, I'm not on here by myself, but I got my 2 buddies with me. I got Big Mike and Big Evan. Where y'all at?
What up?
There he is.
Yo, let's go.
Are you on there, Evan? I'll make sure I can hear you first before we get started.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Check.
Oh, all right. Hey, we can hear everybody. First time. That's nice. So, man, how's y'all's week going?
It's going.
Going?
Yeah. We talked a little pre-show. I'm sure a lot of our listeners are locals that are kind of feeling a little sting of a late night this morning.
Yep. It's been there. What about you, Mike? How you feeling today?
And I'm good, man. I'm blessed. I'm feeling pretty good overall, man. It's been a good start to the week so far. We're doing a lot. Right now I'm just setting us up. Doesn't look like we are on Facebook, but we are on Rumble and YouTube. So sharing that out to everyone, and going to share it out here and tag you on the Facebook so folks can come over and check us out there. Other than that, man, I'm just so blessed, guys. I'm just so thankful. As you know, there's been some, some changes in my, routines in life, and I think they're just better overall, man. And I'm just so thankful, and God is just opening doors. Blessed to have y'all as friends, and I'm so thankful, man. I really, really am just so thankful because, man, you just to be aware. Awareness is huge, right? And understanding that you don't have to be where you're at, right? God is so powerful, man. and he can come in and change it. So I'm just thankful, man. It's a lot easier to go through life a little more thankful. So,
That's right.
don't have it all
Amen.
figured out. Don't know if I will, but I'm thankful that I don't have to. Let's go.
I mean, yeah, I definitely thankful, even for the small things. It's been about 10 months, 11 months actually, that well, it had been August or September, so 11 or 12 months. But since I picked up a basketball, and I actually was cleared and went and played basketball last night, and oh my gosh, it was amazing. It was kind of like cheating on your diet, like cheesecake kind of deal. I was just like, I'm finally back. I can finally shoot a ball, and um, to be honest, oh, I was nervous. I was like, last time I played basketball, I went for a rebound and it popped my arm out of socket, and I was scared. But we played for 2 hours, and I didn't make very many shots, but I'm not an NBA player either, but I haven't shot a ball in 9 months, so it's going to take a minute to get back. But I'm not sore today, and so man, I thank God for all my healing and everybody that's prayed for me. Man, it's been awesome, and so I'm so glad to be back. It'll take some time, but to
That
have that
is awesome.
basketball in my hands, it's
Heck
been
yeah.
a long trip, man. But that way I can hopefully get out there and try to throw a better frisbee with Evan than I did last time, not right-handed.
I was gonna say now we got to get a disc in his hand, Mike.
Right.
No. And
No.
you know what? I gotta apologize to my man Evan. We have been for like 2 weeks trying to connect and crazy, but my man's been out there and I've been dying to get back out, man. I want to get back out there. It's like so good and good for you, and it's just great, So want to get back out there. So I got to apologize for that. But my man
Yeah.
Evan, you didn't tell us, man. You're burying the lead. You had a big tournament this weekend, and you did pretty good. You finished what overall?
I did okay. I finished 5th in my division.
That's huge.
Yeah, it's better than middle of the pack. It's in the top ish. I finished last in the cash, so I did make payout.
There you go. There
You said it was pretty windy, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, 30 miles steady, and then like 40 to 45 mile an hour gusts. I seen frisbees do things this weekend that I've never seen before in my life. Like some of the stuff, like it defied physics. Like a shot that, typically when you put spin on something, it's going to follow a path and go a certain direction. Well, this guy threw this forehand shot with his right hand that is going to finish right. And it did. And he threw it bad and it got up. So it started finishing hard right, but it had so much spin on it. When it hit the ground, it skipped and the disc turned to 180 and rolled 100 feet back across the fairway to the basket. I was just like, can you train my disc to do that?
He's got a remote control.
That was
on it?
awesome.
Do that.
I've never seen something. I was just like, how is that? I mean, I don't know. That was crazy.
Wow. Well, man, we're just going to get right into the topic tonight. And, man, I started thinking, and I was just sitting here thinking about things today and kind of praying about it. And I had a question come to my head, like, how easy and how convenient do we have things of access to us so many times? I mean, like, if we want to drink, we can go anywhere and get a drink. If we want anything, we want to shop, we ain't even got to leave our house. We got convenience at our fingertips, Amazon Prime and DoorDash. You never have to leave your house. But yet we are probably one of the most busiest and most exhausted generation that's ever been. It really is. And so why are we so exhausted in a world full of convenience? That's like what I was thinking about. Like, man, how do we get so tired? Like what we get so busy, and so we want to talk about tonight is about what is the importance of rest in a biblical term. Because we talk about rest and we're like, oh yeah, I got the day off, so I'm going to rest, or we got this. And it's like, but when you think about the scripture, it says that, God on the seventh day in Genesis, it says he rested. So we know that it's not a tired fatigue kind of rest, because God did not get rest. It means to stop doing something. That's what it means. It just means to stop doing something. So whenever you sleep at night, it's rest. You come home from work, if you just sit on the couch, it's rest. Your eyes don't have to be closed. But I don't know about you guys. I know you guys might have a different aspect, but I can't sleep if the sun is out. Like I like
Yeah,
last
no,
night.
I'm with you.
You know, last night I got home, and after I play basketball for 2.5, 3 hours, it's hard to go to sleep, right? And so I come home. Well, I'm watching the overtime game of the Thunder. Now I'm watching it because I've just been listening to it. So I can't go to sleep because I'm all hyped up and adrenaline and everything like that. I didn't go to bed till like 1:30. Well, then I woke up at 6 o'clock to go to work. So I'm like, okay, and I wish I would love, especially with the overcast cloud, man, that's a perfect sleeping weather, right? But I wish I could come home and take a nap. I can't. My mind is so going that if there's daylight, there's something I can be doing. So it's really hard for me to like rest in that aspect of it. I'm not tired. I'm fine, but to just like slow my mind, to stop my mind, and that's what it's talking about. What is the importance of that? Um, what are some things I'm going to speak for myself just for a second. I'll let you guys think about it. But what are some things that, even though it's not like sitting down resting, you consider it rest? And for me, it's when I go play basketball on a Monday night. Like that's my Sabbath. Once a week, I go play basketball, and I know that there's times where I've had a stressful week. But man, if I go pick up a basketball and go play, man, it just like I get my mind off of things, right? And looks like I was talking to Michael a while ago. I jumped on here a little late in the very beginning because I was in there playing some Mortal Kombat with my son. Teaching him you still can't beat dad. But that's it. There's days where I come home and I've had a stressful day, but there's nothing better than go playing some Mortal Kombat and cutting a dude's head off. I mean, it gives me rest. I'm just saying. And some people journal. Some people want to come home and I mean, I'm not saying us, but some people may be listening, may want to crochet or paint or whatever. But I think we all have our outlet, and those are some of my things I do for rest. What about you guys?
Well, we already hit on one of them. Although I take it extremely serious and put a lot of work into it, disc golf is a rest, man. And
That's
when I'm out there playing, I am not thinking about my yard that needs to be mowed or what any deadlines at work or any art. I'm not thinking about anything. I'm just enjoying being out in nature in the beautiful weather, trying to beat that course up.
Yeah, I will say sleep, man, as you get older. I actually worked out a new joke. It's like sleep is my new drug. Like I have no desire to do drugs or alcohol. Like you could come and be like, I've got the best stuff. I'm like, man, I've got to be sober and focused. Do you have any idea how much I need to get done today, sir? Okay. Thank you, but no thank you. But sleep, you know what I mean? If a dude was on the corner, hey baby, $100, you gonna feel like you slept for 2 hours. I'll be like, yes, give me that. I need it. I need that sleep, daddy. So yeah, sleep is a big deal, right? But it's gonna sound maybe oversimple and whatever, but seriously, for me, I think because I do, a lot of things with folks, and my most favorite thing in the world is time with my wife, like on our couch watching a movie, watching a silly game show, an old Price is Right, and making fun of their clothes, or guessing how much cars cost in the '80s, like
right.
$8,000 for a brand new car in the '80s. I like, what? Are you kidding? You couldn't buy a door for $8,000 today. But
Right.
anyway, just us chilling, just us relaxing, knowing that,
Yeah.
it's kind of understood that, one of the 80 to 100 phone calls I get a day, like most people are like, okay, well, we know it's kind of his time now. And so, that the messages and everything just kind of dies down, or, I've made the decision to, let the phone do its thing. And, just me and my wife chilling, nobody judging, not having to worry. Like that's, that really legit refreshing. Makes me feel renewed, So
Right.
Yeah.
And it
I was just gonna say I'm with Mike there, and that's another way I'll rest is just hanging out with Amy, whether that's in the pool, in front of the TV, in the
our
flower
wives have the same
beds,
name,
doing
so at first
doing
I
doing
thought night.
whatever. But the key there is what makes that rest. And I apologize. I tell everybody this. There are times you can't reach me because I get tired of this and I'll go stick it in the bedroom and leave it there for a few hours and not even think about it. And when I do check it, I'm like, oh, whoops. But I need a break from that sometimes.
Yeah. Well, and then like I said, we're actually going out of town this weekend. We're going to a cabin with the family, just a family outing, and um, I was telling Elias earlier. I said, yeah, I said I might actually put my phone on do not disturb this weekend. I might. I don't know. It's in my mind. I feel like I can't because I feel like somebody always needs access to me, and I don't mean it the wrong way, but it is a kind of pride because I'm like, people can function without Pastor Tony because if I die, you're gonna have to figure out how to do it anyway. But in my head, it's like I'm a very helpful person. So I always want to help people. And no offense to anybody, but the people that need me the most are gonna be at the cabin with me, you know? And so here's my problem, and this is me. It's not that I'm always on my phone. It's not, but most of the time, like even Michael last night, he was messaging me, and it was in between games, and he's like, "What? You're
Both,
not messaging me back? That's why we're losing." And I was sitting there, and I'm like,
both of y'all. It's
I
"Yeah,
awesome to
didn't
be
see
my
that
friend,
till
just
after
so
the
you know.
game.
Like, what's funny about that is I didn't realize how serious Evan took it, and I was like, "How can anybody take it this serious, right?" And then I was thinking about OU losing to Alabama, and I was like, "See, if the text come, because like, shout out by the way, Ashley in the chat, shout out her husband Curtis. He had to send me that. What happened to the Thunder? And my boy Enrique and everybody, because you understand, I get all the messages, right? So, but I realized as much as I was kind of laughing, be like, don't take it so serious. What's good for the goose is good for the gander, and OU will be playing again this year.
yeah."
It's not gonna be. Y'all know
But
how I love my OU football, so fair enough.
But
I'm
typically,
sorry.
like even no matter what text I get, typically, if you send me a text, I mean, you're probably getting a response back in a few minutes. I mean, it's not very long. I'm usually right on top of it. And it's not that I'm always on my phone. It's just like I want to be respectful, give a fast response because you went out of your way and out of your time to send me a message. And I don't know. That's just the way I am. And I think sometimes that can be a bad thing because I don't know. I've always been, if I'm up and I'm doing something, I'm not sleeping, I'm not doing this, and I've got to be able to have access to people for me. And um, I feel like if I'm not doing something, I'm being lazy. That's honestly the way I feel. But I seen this quote earlier when I was studying, and it was like, rest is not laziness; it is trust in the sovereignty of God. And rest is more emotional and spiritual than it is anything. Like I said, we live in a world where we have the fastest technology now. We have easier access to everything. We have more comfort, if you will, than any other generation before us. 100%. But yet, people are more emotionally drained. They're spiritually numb and they're mentally exhausted. What is the problem there? Like, that makes no sense. We have everything so easy now. Why are we so messed up? It's because we have no time to physically rest. And we don't let ourselves rest. But in the Bible days, they would basically let their land rest every 7 years. And then it was proven that God's like, you let the land rest after 7 years. And then the next year, after that seventh year, it brought so much crops that they couldn't even contain it because it let the rest, let it calm down a minute. And I think if we would do that, um, let's be honest, there's people that work 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, and granted, I understand doctors, I understand that, and I understand people have to do jobs and things like that, but you have to take some time off. You have to rest. And like we talked about, the things that we've got to do. One thing that a guy told me a long time ago, he goes, if you don't rest mentally, physically, and spiritually, you're not being best for the people that are closest to you. And that really stuck with me because um maybe it's just me. There's times where I wake up in the middle of the night, and as soon as I wake up, it's almost like my mind is already downloading things for the day. And it's at 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, why am I thinking? What is going on? And it takes me 30 minutes to go back to sleep because I'm already trying to do something. And it's like, I've got 4 hours till I got to get up. Why am I worried about tomorrow? And it just drives me crazy. And I think a lot of times, and you've heard it said many a times, it's an old saying that if the enemy can't destroy you, he'll keep you distracted. He will keep you busy. He'll keep you distracted. But God never designed humans to live like machines. He didn't. He didn't design us to live like that at all. And, I know me and Michael were texting a little bit back and forth on scriptures that are powerful, and Jesus said to him, in his word, he said, "Come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest." Because he's basically saying, rest in me, rest spiritually in me. I'm taking care of everything. Everything. I got an email today, and not going into the details, but I got an email today that would probably um it would probably affect a lot of people in a certain way. It would probably rock people maybe a different way. Um, but I just kind of, it's not that big of a deal to me because I know that God's got it. So I'm not worried about it. We live in a world of uncertain times, where things are going to change, things are going to fluctuate, things are going to move, and we can't control them and we don't know what it is. But we serve a God that never changes. So if I can't change it, then why would I worry about it? Because God's the ultimate one, the one can change it in the first place. Um, rest was God's idea from the very beginning. He rested after everything was done, after everything was um, basically put in order. Because we sometimes I think that okay, say I can't say we. I'm going to say me. Sometimes I think that rest began when humans got here. Then he's like, okay, these humans work pretty hard. I'm going to give them a rest. He rested even before he created Adam. Before humans were even, placed on this world, he created the world and then he rested. It was God's design because it said on the seventh day, God ended his work and rested. God wasn't tired. We know that. But he established rhythm, balance, worship, and he created it to show us how to do it. That's the amazing thing about God is he shows us everything to do and don't just tell us how to do it. He sent Jesus to show us how to pray, how to do this by example. Came down here and went through this life with us, you know, rest day and night, seasons, Sabbath, we talked about the land even having those things. And I found this quote right here. It's pretty good. Is when you ignore rest, you declare yourself stronger than your creator designed you to be. When you
Wow.
ignore rest, you declare yourself stronger than your creator designed you to be. And I was like, you know what? That's true. I do. And like that's what I said is I feel like I have to answer text or answer phone calls. And if somebody calls me, I feel like and no offense, I'm not saying anything bad about it. But when Michael, when you were in the hospital, it wasn't even a second thought. It's like as soon as I'm going down to the hospital, I'm getting off work, I'm going to see Michael. Then last week I was going over there and I was doing a job, and then there was somebody else from the church that was in a heart hospital. I stopped over there and seen them for 10 minutes, and it made their world. I didn't have to do that. But I have to not ignore rest. I have to rest. I have to. And I just know for myself is I have to make myself do it. I literally have to make myself do it. And I don't know why. I in my mind, and you correct me if I'm wrong, and this is where y'all can throw in your 2 cents on this. I think, and I'm talking about myself, I think it's a pride issue. I really do.
Yes.
I
I was
think it
just
is.
I was just about to say pride will make you miserable.
Yeah.
I was gonna respond with pride will make you miserable. And that's kind of what it's designed to do. Like when you
Yeah.
really dig into it, it's where pride exists. So it's I was even talking to Pastor Glenn. I was like, Pastor Tony and me talk about there we never leaving easy money out, but we talk about mold. It was something we spoke about a few shows back, but it's just stayed with me, and it's just that constant is that if Satan was that fighter that stood right next to you against you in a cage, was I was like, I'm gonna get you, you know what? You'd know how to fight him, But it's that mold, and you don't realize, and your
Yeah.
breathing becomes harder and more labored, and everything just becomes harder. And the great thing about pride, if the goal is to separate you from God and what God would have you do in your destiny through Jesus, then that's how that's the win, the pride. I'm breathing fine. I'm okay. It's not a mess. Everything's clean. I'm gonna slap a new paint on the wall because this is my house and nobody tells me. Yeah, it sucks, but life is supposed to suck. I'm strong and I can handle it. Instead of letting that pride go. And I'm sorry, man. I'm over talking. I'm just so excited. But letting that pride go, right? And going, you know what? I got mold in my heart, man. I've allowed mold to come in. I've
Well, see,
thought I
it's
could
hard.
handle it.
it's hard when I mean that's the fine line. Is it's hard where it's here's the line that I struggle with, where I don't know if it's much so as pride as I feel like it's my job and my responsibility as a pastor. It's
Duty,
huh?
duty.
Yeah, it's my duty. It's like if I don't do it, I feel like I'm failing God. And I'm not saying that that's what God put on me. I think I put that on myself, or I think that's what Satan makes me feel to keep me busy, to keep me depleted, to keep me distracted. So it's not necessarily a pride, but it does get that way sometimes. But I think it's that fine line, if that makes any sense.
Let me guess. Because this can be and used to be me too, Tony. How many times have you said, "It's okay, I'll sleep when I'm dead"? When somebody tells you, "You need to get some rest." I'll rest when I'm dead.
Yeah.
I'm busy. I got to get
I don't
this
know if I
taken
said
care of.
that. I just know when the sun's up, I'm doing it. Because I mean, like, I literally I go back to when Jesus said that. He goes, I must do the work while I still can, you know. It's like-
Yeah.
but I mean, Jesus, that's the thing is he withdrew himself into the wilderness. Now, I'm not Jesus by any means, but how many people were constantly hounding Jesus? We need you to heal this and do this and do this and do this. And he still found time to get away. And I'm not Jesus, but yet somehow I don't seem to find the time to get away. It seems like, and this is my thought too, is how many times do you go away, whether you go on vacation or something like that? When you come back, it's almost like you need a vacation from the vacation,
Yes.
right? Because it's like you didn't truly rest while you're on vacation.
Mm-mm.
And it's almost like vacation seemed like a job, a duty. You know what I'm saying? And so we get into that aspect of it to where we're constantly working. Like our motive never shuts down. It's just in, what do you call that, sleeper mode? I know that's a deal, but it's not really sleeping. It's actually just hibern. I don't know what's that word for. It's not hibernating, but you touch one button and it's back on. So it's,
Standby.
yeah, standby. It's not really fully in sleeper. It's in like shut off. It's actually just in sleeper mode. And I think sometimes that's what I do. I go through life in sleeper mode, that if I'm needed, boom, I'm activated. I'm good to go. Instead of actually powering down, shutting it off, and just seeing what happens. And obviously I'm not the best person I can be by not allowing myself to do that. That's where I need to have that self-reflection, like what Michael said about noticing that mold there.
Yeah.
I absolutely agree. Guys, we've got a few chats to come in. Ashley is saying, I've been going since. Oh no, Ashley, get some rest. Ashley says, I've been going since 6:30 a.m. and literally just sat down. My husband is the same. He works from 6 p.m. and doesn't get home till 10 a.m. He's a beast. Yes. I will say this. Her husband is, shout out to Curtis Lane, runs Epilepsy Awareness South Florida. The guy who has epilepsy and still runs heavy equipment, has a great team, and he's one of those guys that, like, he doesn't have to be humble, right? But he chooses to be humble. He chooses to follow God. He makes those decisions, and he shows up, man. And he's the kind of guy I wish there were a million more guys like that in the world, because he's the kind of guy that shows that the real strength comes through honesty and vulnerability and going, hey, man, I can't do this on my own. All the things that you may see in me that you wish you had those abilities or whatever, that's all God. It's all God delivering me. It's my faith and my belief in God and allowing Him, to use me. And that's powerful. And yeah, we do work really hard. I was going to ask you, like, okay, so there has to be, like, let's be honest. Let's just be real for a second, okay? And there's nothing wrong with this. But there are guys, and I love them, who get to go to work from 8 to 6 and lunch for an hour and go Monday through Friday. And you know what I mean? And that's it, and maybe they pick up a couple shifts here and there on the weekends, and that's the entirety. And good for those brothers. I say all the time, I should have been a plumber, because look at me, right? But anyway, if I was a plumber, man, I'd be calling and working far less hours. However, you know what we do now. I'm not a pastor by any stretch, but I'm a producer and I handle talent. And I do, work 10 different shows. So that means that between other producers and talent, and people need writing, production, and then the work we do with the church, and I work with the epilepsy folks. You know what I mean? We could decide to never sleep again. Literally, I think sometimes I feel that way. And not that I'm angry about that, man. I understand there's a calling, but like, where do you find that balance, right? Where do you go, okay, I understand that I signed up for a little bit more than the average. I understand I'm following a calling versus just taking a gig. I get that, and that's cool, man. I can't be happy not following my calling. But there has to be a balance. I have to take care of my family, right? So, you know what I mean? What indicators do you look for that help you know that you're imbalanced or that you need that?
Well, my thing is I try to look at, we serve a God that is a God of order. Like we talked about this on one of the very first episodes. He keeps the planets in orbit. Everything is going the right way. And I've noticed that whether it be my irritability, um, whether it be my anger, whether it be my laughter, if I can't laugh, if I can't give solid advice, if somebody asks me something and I don't think I have an answer, like a normal answer that I would, I'm like, I feel like I'm empty. And I'm like, okay, I need to check. It's kind of like your gas light coming on your car. It's like I need to fill up. You know what I'm saying? And I always try to tell myself this when it comes to rest. Jesus literally carried the weight of the entire world on his shoulders, and he still took time to breathe. Um, because I'll be honest with you. I feel like, I do garage doors for some of y'all that don't know. I do a full-time garage door installation guy. So I'm not a full-time pastor sitting in my office waiting for somebody to call me to do funerals or weddings. That's not what I do. I literally get up in the morning, 6:30 and go to work and hang garage doors in 110 weather and freezing cold. And then I do the pastoring thing. I feel like sometimes I'm off at 12, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, sometimes from garage doors, but I don't ever feel like I clock out from being a pastor. That's my honest opinion. And the reason why, and again, I don't know if that comes from pride. I don't know if that comes from this, but I feel if somebody calls me at 2 o'clock in the morning or they text me at 2 o'clock in the morning, my sleep doesn't matter. They need something. And I will get in my car, I will go do something. I will get up and I will talk them through whatever they're going through. If it's bailed out of jail, if it's they're thinking about suicide, and so I don't ever feel like I clock out of that. Um, Man, I don't know if I could remember a day that has went by that I haven't either texted or called or had a phone call from somebody from the church, not like staff wise. I'm talking about like members. Um, I'm a shepherd. And if any of my sheep, I mean, they're Jesus' sheep, but I'm a shepherd. And if any of those sheep need something, the shepherd's job is to take care of them. It's really hard to find a balance, man. I'm not gonna lie. It really is. Like I said, when I go on vacation or something like that, I never power down my phone. I'm like, I want to be accessible. Um, Literally, I think it was like 3 weeks ago. Well, it was when you were in the hospital that Monday when you went to the hospital. I was literally back and forth on text messages and the phone between three different people in different hospitals besides you. Somebody
Wow.
somebody was having surgery on their leg. Somebody was maybe getting their foot amputated. I mean, it was just like crazy. And for an hour, I was talking to people, and it just you know your body when it's sick. I know when I'm healthy and I know when I'm sick. I can tell when my pump gets empty and I'm like, I need to refuel. So I can tell that's where the balance is. And so, and not at all comparing to you guys. I'm still human as anything. My tank may be bigger than yours because of the calling God's put on my life. So I may be able to go longer with the tank that I fill up, but I'm here to tell you, you can't fill up on the tank just on Sunday and last till Sunday. It don't work. Even as a pastor, it don't. I have to fill up my tank every day. I have to get my daily bread because I go out every day and I'm giving bread to you. I'm giving bread to Evan. I'm giving bread to my mom. I'm giving bread to my wife. I'm giving bread to my kids. I'm giving bread to the guy at 7-Eleven. I'm giving bread. And if I don't have it, I can't give it. It's like you can't pour living water out of an empty vessel, right? That's what we're supposed to do. And so it's a spiritual check. It's constantly. So I know if I'm not healthy, and I think everybody's going to have their um, own check engine light, if you will. So I can't say here's exactly the equation if your life is out of balance. You know if you're out of balance. You know if you're feeling dizzy because you haven't eaten since breakfast. You know if you need to drink more water because you're fixing to pass out. These are plain and simple things with our body, and it works the same way with our spirit. You know, I'll be honest. I think sometimes I think I'm too important. That's the pride aspect of it. Like what you said, 10 shows. Us looking at you, Michael, and you're like, I got 10 shows. We're like, bro, let's go. You kill it. And it's like, if you'd come on here, it's like, dude, I got one show. Let's be honest. To you, you feel like you're a failure. You're like, I've only got one show. If you have 10, you feel like you're important because you got 10 shows. So in a generation that we live in, we glorify exhaustion like it's proof of importance. You know what I'm saying? Because we keep ourselves busy. We keep ourselves busy if I'm tired. Because if I go to you, it's like, what'd you do today? It's like, I did nothing. It's like, you bum, you know? But if you went and was like, man, I did this, I did this, I did this. And even if it's mowing your lawn, and then like Evan, I'm planting tomatoes, I cleaned out my garage, I did this. We're like, bro, Evan, you killed it. Yeah, he did, but he killed himself too. We glorify exhaustion in the world we live in because how many times you went up to somebody and it's like, bro, how you doing this week? It's like, bro, I'm busy. And I've always said it in garage doors, like, how's business going? That's busy. And I'm like, but hey, there's only one alternative. You're either busy or you're not. And as a worker, I don't want to not be busy because I don't have a job, right? So I try to make myself busy.
Yeah.
And then I run myself ragged. I run myself out of the tank. I run it differently. And I think it goes in being in the construction aspect. When I'm out there at 110-degree weather, oh, I drink a lot more water in that day than I do when it's December. So there's days in the church as a pastor and even as a spiritual leader, there's days where I'm drinking more water as the day goes on. I'm praying without ceasing because God's moving in a certain way. There's certain days where I have to drink more water because if I don't, I'm going to be fatigued. And as a pastor, I can't be fatigued because again, there's people that need me. But some people treat caffeine like it's one of the gifts of the spirit. I mean, we drink so many freaking energy drinks. Like, oh, that's another gift that the Galatians didn't talk about. Monster, your Red Bull. You know what I'm saying?
You got to be careful with those.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know.
Agreed. Agreed. Also, I wanted to pull this up real fast.
Go ahead.
This is
Yep.
cool. Where it is? Where it is? Okay. This is 9 times Jesus retreated to be alone. Right. And I thought this was really cool, and it was said some people think mindfulness is a Buddhist or Eastern. They don't realize how often Jesus Christ himself prioritized contemplation. Check this out. This is Mark 1:12. At once the Spirit sent Jesus into the desert, and he was in the desert for 40 days, being
Right.
tempted by Satan. He was with wild animals, and angels attended him. Stuff. Yes, okay. And then here, let me make this a little bigger for everyone. Boom, boom. There we go. And then number 2, after an exhausting day of ministry to the sick, very early in the morning, while it was still dark, Jesus got up, left the house, went off to a solitary place where he prayed. Everyone was looking for Jesus, but after his time in prayer, he told his disciples that it was time for them to move to another village. Number 3, a place of frequent retreat amidst the busy crowd seeking him. And that's from Luke 5:15 and 16, and also Mark 1:45. Despite Jesus' plea that his miracles be kept secret, the news about him spread all the more, so crowds of people came near him. But Jesus often withdrew to that lonely places and prayed. And there's a few more there, but I just please I encourage everyone to check that out and look that up. But the thought there is, and that is published peace.net. But the idea there is that there are multiple times Jesus went away after he fed the 5,000, before Peter walked him on the water, after healing many, initializing the ending. He multiple times took time away to rest and commune with
And we talk about the physical exhaustion, fatigue, if you will. You have emotional fatigue, and then you also have spiritual fatigue. There's those three different types of fatigue. Have you ever, I know y'all probably have, and I know I'm the same. Have you ever slept for like 8 or 9 hours and you woke up still tired?
Yep.
And I know like on your Apple Watch or whatever, if you keep it on you or whatever, it'll tell you how many hours you had of like deep sleep. And it's like you slept for 9 hours, but only two was a deep sleep when your mind still wasn't racing. Um, a lot of people, and I'm just saying everybody, I don't know what everybody's listening, and I don't know what you're going through, but many people, even though we sleep physically, you're still carrying anxiety, comparison, bitterness, pressure, a hidden sin, fear of failure, lack of intimacy. There's so many different things that you carry that doesn't give you a good rest. And it's just things that are constantly in our head. Am I enough? Am I this? Did I fail? Did I do this? Because a busy life can still be an empty life. We can have a calendar full of things going on, but yet we're starving spiritually. There's so many things. And I posted this on Facebook earlier. Noise, that's all the busyness. Those things that are going on in our head. Noise, right? Noise is the enemy of intimacy. We talked earlier about the time that we get when we spend with our wives. Man, it's just be sitting on a couch. It doesn't even matter if you're even saying a word to each other. It's just being in the presence, right? And that's intimacy. But noise is the enemy of that. Because be honest, now, Michael, he can't really say this. He's got the pleasures right now. But you can sit there with your wife and you don't have the kids running around fighting with each other, and it's like I'm trying to be intimate and just hang with my wife, and you hear the boys and the girls in there arguing in the bedroom. It's like, shut up, we're trying to watch TV or whatever. So, Michael don't have that problem, bless him. But those are things that noise is the enemy of intimacy. And I think I'm gonna ask you three questions, and I want everybody just to think of these three questions. What is draining me spiritually? That's number one. What is draining me spiritually? What's making your pump go down? Okay. And let's be honest. I think with Jesus, I think sometimes it was the people. People can drain you. They can. When was the last time that I truly sat still with God? What do you think about that? When's the last time you truly sat still with God? That intimacy time that you had. Because like what Michael was talking about, multiple times he went away. He didn't just go away. He wasn't sunbathing on the beach. He wasn't throwing frisbee disc. He wasn't playing basketball or video games. What was he doing when he went away? He was sitting still with God. That's what he did. That's a huge example for us. And here's one thing that I asked myself this question, and this was the hardest one for me because the other ones I know myself, but this one was, am I producing? What am I doing? Okay, Michael's a producer. So let's think about this. Am I producing from overflow or am I producing from survival mode? Think about that. Am I producing? Am I giving everybody the overflow of what I got from God when I sat still with him? Or am I doing it out of survival mode? And if I'm doing it out of survival mode, I am doing a disservice to the people that I'm trying to produce things in because I'm doing it out of survival mode. And basically, it's almost like I've got a little bit to eat, but I'm going to give you everything I've got. Then guess what? I've got nothing for myself. I've got nothing for myself. I keep pouring everything out, right? And so those are some deep questions. And I think if you ask yourself that, I think that goes back to what you said earlier, Michael. Like, how do you find that balance? I think that's where you find the balance. What's draining me? Because, I mean, you said it again. You had no idea that I was going to ask these questions. You said if you weren't a producer, you'd probably be a plumber, right?
I'm saying I
So,
wish I would have been a plumber. But
oh,
yeah,
you wish you would have been a plumber. Okay. Well, that's it. If you wish you would have been a plumber, you're going to be called out because pipes are going to have leaks, right?
right.
Leaks have water if they're under the sink. What does that leaking water cause? Mold.
Mildew
We
damage.
talked
Yeah.
about mold, mildew, all stuff, and people can get sick. So, what is draining me spiritually, right? There's a lot of things that go on because, and I just seen that. I was fixing to say what she just posted up there a second. Mental health in men is so critical Because as men, we are constantly trying to take care of our family, to provide. We've got so much going on that we are the spiritual leader. And that if everything or anything goes on in the family, we feel like we take it personally because we are the leaders, spiritual, the financial leaders, whatever it be. And I'm not saying men make more money than women. I'm not arguing that point. I'm just saying as men, we feel like we're the providers. That's what we were created to be. But exactly right there, men are told we think it's very not, or it's opposite of masculine to tell our feelings, so we keep it in, we stay silent, which is what we've talked about when we go to our men's meetings and our pillars is, man, it's okay as men to realize that you struggle sometimes. But if we admit to our struggles and we admit to our failures as men, we feel like we're demasculizing ourselves. You know what I'm saying? And that's very tough for us. It very is, because we go back to that importance. We are so important to the culture as men. But if we are not making sense and paying attention to our spirituality and it's draining, we're not even good for our own family. We're just not. And I think a lot of times, I think rest is really an act of faith. We talk like about how we're full of faith. And I think resting is saying, God, I'm just going to rest in you. I know I can't fix this problem. I know I can't do this. I know I can't do this, but I'm just going to rest in it. And I'll be the first to admit it right here. I say it, I pray it, but yet my mind goes 100 miles an hour, not even letting it go. It's so hard. I mean, what do y'all think on that? I mean, do y'all struggle with that as well? Or is that just me? I'm just saying.
Absolutely. No, I 100% with you on that.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a known thing. If you're gonna be my friend in my life, you're gonna have to know that I'm gonna fly off the. You got to give me like the first 3 to 5 minutes. It's like everybody else. Just give him that first 3 to 5 minutes. Let him rah, and then he's gonna be like, "My bad, I was tripping. Let's figure this out." But yeah. Problem is, if in that 3 to 5 minutes you try to like come, I'm inconsolable. However, we're working on that. We're working on that. But I do completely understand, and it is it's funny because to me it all kind of comes down to like an attack on our sense of self, which ultimately is pride. Because anything other than a vessel to be used by Jesus,
Yeah,
to help others and to show what he can do through somebody who lived through faith through in him, like anything other than that, well, we're kind of failing at that point, right? So ultimately, right? And not only that, we're giving up so much power. Like I was saying about the thing about pride is it makes you miserable, right? So and real fast to lead into that Curtis lady who we were just talking about, shout out Curtis. He was talking on the first one. The second one is there was a time in his life when his mind was filled with doubt, anger, fear, and questions he couldn't answer. He carried pain like armor. I understand that, man. Pain is the armor. It's like, you don't feel me. You don't know what I've been through. You can't test me. You're not as strong as me. You can't share. You can't break through to me, right? He wore the silence like a mask, thought he was surviving, but God had bigger plans. God didn't just change his situation. He changed his thinking. And I think that's what's got to happen. I think you've got to have a renewed mind. He took the negativity that I once lived and replaced it with purpose. Taught me that every struggle carried a lesson and every scar was strength. And every dark season was preparing me for. And I'll check what's more. And shout out Alan Kim. He's like, if God rested, so should we. And aloha from Hawaii. That's our brother in Hawaii. Alan, always wise, always wonderful. Great Facebook presence as well. We love you, Alan.
Think about what you just said. Like we were talking about the computer, talking about going to standby mode or shutting it down. Think about our phones, think about our iPads, our computers and stuff like that. Once it gets a new update, what is the first thing it does once it downloads all that update? Reboots, because it has to rethink differently. And if we don't rest, if you don't reboot it, it'll never take that update. And that's the same thing with us. If we don't rest, God's like, I can't update you. I can't refill you with the things that you need to be thinking, the things that you need to learn, like what he said, from this lesson, from this scar, that you learn that strength. If you never reboot, you'll never get it. And I think that's what Jesus did. He went away to reboot. because he's like, if I don't reboot, I'm fixing to start casting some people out of here because these people are making me mad. So he's got to reboot. But yeah, we are. It all goes back to pride, very beginning, no doubt. But how many times have you did something, you're so productive, and it's almost like we're addicted to it. We're addicted to productivity. We're addicted to the noise. We're addicted to validation. We're addicted to constant movement. I've never sat in a therapy session, but when you're sitting across from a therapist, they let you lay there, they ask you a question, and then they just sit in silence. Why? There's no moving going on, and you realize that that person starts to open up and starts to talk. Why? Because there's nothing going on. So we just start spilling our guts, and God's like, that's why I want you to abide with me. I want you to get it all out. We talked about our word of the year, abide, to stay, right? You were created to abide, not to achieve. You're not created to achieve things. We're not trying to get some kind of award where we go to God. God, like, look at the list that I did, God. God's like, that's an awesome list. Yeah, you did some cool stuff, but I wanted you just to abide in me. That's all you had to do. Really? You mean I made this way harder than was supposed to be? Which I'm number one uno when it comes to that. I make things way harder than they got to be. But the kingdom of God is not built by frantic people. It's built by people that rest in him and his spirit. I can't be the pastor. I can't be the father. I can't be the husband. I can't be the friend. I can't be any of that unless I rest and abide in him. I can't do this show unless I rest in him. I'm not doing any good, any value to anybody if I don't rest spiritually, physically, mentally, all and above. So if I want to give the best version of myself, just like these updates we do on our phone, I don't know what we're up to now, but update 13.2 on iPhone. And then tomorrow it'll be 13.4. And what does it do? What is the number one sentence that it always says that the reason why you're updating? To fix bugs.
Yeah.
To fix the things that cause it to go wrong. That's what we need to reboot, because guess what? We mess it up. And God's like, we need to fix this. But if you don't reboot, we can't fix it. And how many times when you go on there, have your screens ever froze up on your computer or your iPad and just froze up and wouldn't do anything?
Oh yeah.
When you try to quit, what does it ask you if you want to do? It says it won't close them. It asks you to do one thing. Do you want to force quit?
I was gonna say force shutdown. Yeah.
Yeah, force shutdown. Dude, somebody needs to force me to shut down sometimes. Somebody needs to tell you, like, bro, you need to stop. Right? Some people need to go to somebody like, bro, you're doing too much. You need to just step back a little bit, force shutdown, and get yourself right. Get yourself right. And the funny thing is we talk about our brains, and they say our brains are so much more minute than any of these computers. We look at these computers and we love technology, right? But they say that our brain is way more compatible and crazy as these. But yet we reboot those and we update them on a weekly basis. But we will go months without rebooting our own self.
Yeah.
That'll preach right there.
That's
We
good.
even go to church on Sunday and we don't reboot. But yet we go to church on, what's that day called that we go to church on? Not Sunday, but what do we call it?
The Sabbath.
The Sabbath day, which Sabbath means what? Rest,
Rest.
right?
Rest.
And
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you, and you guys can probably testify to this. I'm not even saying as a pastor, but I'm saying as a Christian. Does Sunday not seem like the more busier day than you have all the rest of the days of the week?
A lot of weeks it is.
How is our day of rest the busiest day we have? And you tell me that Satan isn't involved on a Sunday, even though you're at church.
Well, for you it's different, but yeah, for all the rest of us.
Oh, I'm different in general, bro. Just whatever. But
You got to work on Sunday, man. I demand a refund if you're not working on Sunday. Okay. I'm kidding.
my day, since I was a youth pastor, a lot of times, I'll be honest, my Sabbath was Thursday. That
Yeah.
was Wednesday night was youth. So I would always, and I know like it's kind of like barbers. Barbers are always closed on Mondays. Well, that's the way pastors used to be. Was Monday was their actual Sabbath because they work on Sunday. Well, mine was Thursday. Mine was I'm not working on the Bible. I'm not studying for anything. I'm gonna play what I'm gonna do. Being prideful, being selfish. Thursday, I'm gonna do what I want to do. This is my day. Now God was in it, but I'm talking about like nothing with the church. That was my day. And it really was. And one thing I'm gonna tell anybody out there that's listening to me right now, I'm talking church, I'm talking work, I'm talking whatever. You are always loved apart from your productivity. God loves you apart from your productivity. It's not what you're doing that makes God love you. Straight up. He loves you apart from your productivity. No matter how many times I have to text these people, every day I text somebody, and this is me. I can't say for anybody else. If I don't see somebody at church on Sunday afternoon, I'm texting that person. Hey, missed you today. Because I know I have seen it so many times in church that when somebody misses and nobody recognizes it, Satan uses that, and that person usually feels like they wasn't loved, they wasn't respected, all these things that they probably shouldn't feel, but Satan uses it. So as a pastor, I feel like it's my responsibility to do that. So sometimes I can't rest. I have to message somebody like, "Where were you at? I missed you. I hadn't seen you in a
You
week.
know,
This and this."
sometimes Satan uses it the opposite way too, right?
True.
A lot of us are like, "Oh, I don't. Please don't notice I didn't show today, man. I'm just not in the groove." It's like I didn't notice you were. I was like, "Oh, great, he noticed." It's like now I got to make up some reason why I didn't show up today. So yeah, Satan uses it the other way too. You're like, I better go to church, or pastor's going to text me, and be like, "What happened? We can't be podcasting with you if you don't show up at least for the 11:30." You know.
No, you're right, man. You're so right.
One thing I wanted to ask about real fast,
Yep.
about all this, something that I think is maybe pertains, is that Jesus had 12 disciples. Now, to me, 12 is pretty big crew. You know what I mean? I don't. You know what I mean? I don't have 12 people I would want to go everywhere with, right? But I think that, like, there's a lot of, there's a lot of teaching on brotherhood and your brother and your friendships and other Christians on this similar mission as you. And I think maybe that also has to do some with the resting. You have other brothers, if you have, like your pastoral staff. I know for a fact that you feel like if you can't do something, you can pick up the phone and somebody, you know what I mean, on one of the levels, so us on the guttural levels, but on the real levels, you have pros you can get to. But, I think it's, if you have brothers in Christ and you're building those relationships, that that you can send somebody out, I think that's important, maybe, to being able to rest and having that time, because the secret is we're only allotted so much time, right? So
Yeah, I mean it is. It's that's the good thing about a staff is, you can send people out different ones, and that's one thing that is very tough. And again, it here's the struggle is Satan is always working. That's the ultimate struggle. Is there and I've seen it all different ways, and as long as I've been doing ministry, you know, I'm outreach pastor. I'm not assistant pastor, executive senior. I don't know all that stuff. It doesn't matter. It's whatever. If somebody's in the hospital and Pastor Tony or Pastor Glenn don't reach out, I've seen people like those pastors really don't care about me. And it may have been, Rodney that reached out to him, or it may have been Rick that reached out to him. But sometimes people put those pastors on a pedestal to where if that person doesn't reach out, do they actually really care about me? And that's the Satan aspect of it. Like I said, he works so many different things on that. Because think about it. Mary and Martha, when Lazarus died, he showed up. And when he showed up, she said, "If you would have been here," she put it right back on Jesus. Man, Jesus could have spoke the word. He didn't have to be there. He's did some crazy things just by speaking the word. But she said, "If you would have been here." Satan works on all of our minds in certain things and ways. And so sometimes that works on my conscience as well. That I feel like, man, if Pastor Tony, as a youth minister, If anything happened with the youth, doesn't matter if Glenn's there, Pastor Tony's the youth minister. Pastor Tony has to take care of it. Why? Because I'm the closest one in proximity to them. I've been countless hours at hospitals with youth that were in accidents, that were on the deathbed, spent nights there. But I felt like if I didn't stay, I felt like I was a bad person. And is it true? No, not true. But that's what Satan makes you think, and I think that goes into tail with like what we talked about being drained spiritually. Um, I've been in church so long to where nothing bad. Don't take this the wrong way or out of context, but people drain you spiritually. You go to the church to get filled up, 100%. But I could go to the church and get drained just as much as I get filled up.
Yeah.
And if church was taken away, my question is, how many people would be Christian? Because we're supposed to feed ourselves. We're called to feed ourselves. We have a personal relationship with Jesus. He died so that we could have rest. Because that's what it said. Come all to me, all you that are heavy burdened and heavy laden, I will give you rest. Jesus gave us rest when he said it is finished. I can rest in that. That I don't have to do all these things to get to heaven. I don't have to sacrifice sheep and goats anymore for my sins. I can rest knowing that all my sins are paid for. I can rest that if I die before I wake, that I will be in heaven. That no matter what happens in this world, I am going to heaven. I can rest in that. That my God's never going to leave me nor forsake me. But what about if the stock market doesn't matter? My God's not going to leave. It didn't catch him off guard. Why do I worry? I worry. Don't get me wrong. I worry. That's a rhetorical question. Why do I worry? I don't know. I don't know. I can't explain that. You're a pastor. You shouldn't worry. Yes, but I'm also half pastor, half human. Sorry. Sometimes I feel like 90-10, one way or the other sometimes, you know. Uh, but just like that shepherd we talked about, he leads me by still waters, not crashing waves, man. I go out into this world, there's crashing waves all the time. If I watch the news, oh, there's crashing waves left and right. We have to go constantly, just like Michael said, like Jesus did. Constantly go to those still waters, get away, and get refilled. We have to get refilled. We have to keep filling our vessel. And I don't know what your day looks like. I don't know what your week looks like. I'm not saying you have to go to Florida, go on a cruise. I'm not saying any of that. Rest can cost you nothing except time. And I think sometimes we think the more we spend on money, the more or on the vacation, the more money we spend, the more things we do on vacation. It was really rest because we did this. Sometimes rest can be on your back patio, not doing a thing, having your favorite drink, just sitting out there watching the sunset, sitting out there with God, talking to him, finding out how his day went, if you will, and telling him about your day. If you get those things out of your heart and out of your mind, you'll find out how much rest you really have is by getting those things out. Because the more you keep it inside of you, you'll never have true rest at all. That's why Jesus says, abide in me and you will have rest. And so, man, I'm going to pray for us right now because I don't know every one of your lives at all, but I know a God that does. He knows everything that's going through our heads right now. He knows what is actually keeping you from rest. And let's be honest, everything we've talked about, if you're listening right now, you already know what's keeping you from rest. God's already telling you about it. And so I pray that you give it to God. And it's tough. I know it is tough. It is not easy to lay down because think about this. The Israelites, when they had to give up planting their crops and saying, God, we have to make our own food. He's like, I know, don't do it. What? What do you mean don't do it? I promise I'll take care of it. Just don't do it. And by faith, they didn't till the ground. They let it rest, and yet they still had food. We don't understand that sometimes. I have went through many a situations, and I know these two guys right here have as well. There's times where we've given it to God and we don't know how he's going to fix it. We don't know how he's going to do it. And the next thing you know, he does it. And we still don't know how he did it. But by faith, he did it. That is true rest. And I can only speak from experience on that. And so I'm going to pray for us, and then we'll end our final thoughts on that. So, Lord, I pray right now. I pray that you teach us to rest in you. I pray that you quiet our anxious minds, calm our striving hearts. God, our productivity, God, you don't need it. I pray that you remind us that our worth is not found in performance, but God, it's found in your love. I pray that you restore our souls. I pray that you renew our minds. I pray that you help us to trust you enough to slow down. And God, just like we talked like technology, God, help us to reboot. Help us to fully shut down and be still in your presence to get what you have for us. And God, I pray that you would empty our hearts. I pray that you fix the things inside of us, the bugs, if you will, that don't need to be there. Help us to reboot, to renew, and to be who you called us to be, God. But we can't do those things unless we truly, fully rest in you, knowing that you're going to take care of all things. God, everybody under the sound of my voice, God has something that we need to rest in. And I pray that you help us to do those things. God, and it's all these things I ask in your precious son's name. Amen.
Amen.
Well, gentlemen, it's been a good show again, I believe. And man, I just pray that we take these words to heart and we learn to rest in those things. You know, when I get off here, I don't worry about the show. Oh, how many people? I never ask Michael, how many people watched? How many did this? We shut it off, and I pray about it every night before I go to bed. God, when this goes out, it's out there. Whoever needs to hear it, I pray that it blesses them. I pray that it helps them. I may not ever know if it does until I get to heaven and somebody comes up and is like, hey, I looked at your ugly mug one time on TV, on YouTube or whatever, and you helped me. I'm like, oh, well, that's awesome. Cool. You know? So
We will take it. Shout out real fast. Nora is in the Rumble chat. She's saying, hey, she's here. Oh, you
What up,
girl.
Brooke?
She says, yeah, we love you, Nora. Let's go. We have DJ Norman in the house. We have Ellie Schofield. We have OU girl in the house saying, I think the constant information, we feel like we can never truly disconnect. And that's true. You know, I think that was from earlier. So that was over there. And getting all the chatters, lots of chatting going on. We love you. And then finally, Amy says, we are human beings, not human doings. That was amazing.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Good.
Man, I wanted to circle back real quick and just give a huge shout out and mad respect to Curtis for putting that out there and sharing that, brother. That testimony resonates with me, and I have a very similar one. And something that I learned that I see that you are now preaching is that strength is found in vulnerability. So keep doing your thing, brother. Mad respect to you. And also, just to remind everyone, this resting, it's a term we use in coaching all the time. Put on your own oxygen mask first. You can't help your kids if you pass out. Put on your own oxygen mask first.
It's true.
Agree.
Well, man, it's been good. It's been another good show. And so, man, I hope you guys have a great rest of your week. I hope you do find rest, and I hope you're renewed and everything. And I hope you get some rest from everything that you might be struggling with or anything that you just need to get off your shoulders. Because again, Jesus said, come unto me, all you that are heavy burdened and laden, and I will give you rest. And so in that, I tell you guys, have a blessed week, and we will see you next time.
And be kind.
The parking lot is full, the grill is hot. We came to lift our spirits right here on this spot.